Hey everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic and the Examiner. With me today, Jens and Timo of Stratovarius. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Absolutely wonderful. You guys had a big night last night. The record, well, not the record release, but you guys sort of played it for everybody. How did it go?
Very well. I mean, lots of fun, a lot of people, and probably that's the reason why my dear Swedish friend, he has a bit of a hangover right now, but it was a nice little party.
Yeah, they decided to have this listening party in a whiskey bar. Like, there's so much nice and yummy whiskey we had to test it out. And of course, what happened was that we tested out too much of it.
Well, for me, Nemesis represents a nice blend or cross-section, if you will, of classic Stratovarius and where it sort of feels like the band has been heading over the last couple of albums. Am I off base there?
Oh, I agree with you totally. It's exactly the way I see it. I think there's this kind of a typical Stratovarius catchy choruses, but then still it's like a bit more modern sounding album, and maybe a bit darker compared to the past two.
Now, Nemesis has a very nice sense of continuity. Yes, yet it also feels sort of like a tale of two albums, because Matthias wrote half the record, including the first 4 tracks. Then the other half of the album sort of pulls from each of you. It really keeps the album sort of lively that way.
Yeah, nowadays we have this writing team of like 4 guys in the band, so it's sort of a much more easier than in the past, where there was basically only one guy writing all the songs. I mean, if one of us would have a writer's block or something, then, I mean, all the other guys could, come up with some new songs. And it sort of works out pretty nicely. And I think, like you said, Matthias wrote probably half of the songs. And also, he produced the album and mixed the album
right
by himself, so that's a bit different to the past.
Right, he sort of chained himself into the studio there and wouldn't let himself go home till it was done.
No, he was there like for 4 months or something. So
sleeping on the couch, etc.
Yeah.
Well, and the nice thing about the fact that you guys all write is it sort of harks back to that era that we sort of grew up in, where in bands it wasn't just one guy was responsible for everything. There was always different people in the band bringing different elements, and it's really nice to see over the last few albums you guys have really sort of spread that out a bit.
Yeah, it's also, I think it's nicer for everybody as well, because it reduces the stress in a way. I mean, there's not one guy who then has to stress about coming up with enough material for a new record, and of course, if people don't like it, he's completely responsible then. So it's not an easy job. I mean, I would hate to be that guy that has to come up with 60 minutes of music. So it's very nice that we actually all pitch in.
Now, how important is the synchronization of the tracks on the album? The order that each song is placed. Do you guys think that's essential to the album having a good overall flow, or does it really matter?
I think, it was Matthias who decided in the end, in the studio, what is the track order. But of course, some songs are better to be played in the early part of the album, and it's quite natural that, for example, you don't start the album with a ballad, So,
right.
Of course, also it has something to do in what key the song is. So, but I think some of the songs could have been in a different order. But I think it sounds pretty nice and natural what we have on the album right now.
Yeah, it's okay. I think Matthias tends to write faster stuff, and he put like a massive chunk of really energetic stuff in the beginning. It gives the album this like relentless feel. Here's another fast one. Here's another fast one. Almost like, you have your fucking hat blown off your face. And like, with the first 4 songs somehow, like, it's a nice approach. Completely brutal start. For a Stratovarius album, it's actually a lot of fast stuff in the beginning. There's a billion different ways you can do it, and I think he chose a good way. I know actually that I spent a lot of time thinking about it, and it's never easy. It's never easy. Also picking what songs should be bonus tracks and the stuff. But we just trust him enough now that we give him this task of mixing, producing, recording, and sequencing.
Nice. Yeah, if this is all yours, we're going to go have a beer. So.
In a way, but it's not like he hates doing it. He actually loves doing the work too. So of course, then it's like a magical fit.
Right.
A way of responsibility and talent So it's not that he's like, oh no, I have to go back in the studio again. It's more like, actually we are now on this promo tour, and I think he's back in the studio with some other band, with Turisas or something.
Yes, yeah.
I think you can't keep him out of the studio, whether it's for our band or some other band.
Timo, you penned 2 of the tracks, Out of the Fog and If the Story is Over, with Yanni, who works with you in Cain's Offering. I love the riff on Out of the Fog. It's probably my favorite riff on the album, but give us a little backstory on each of those tracks that you worked on with him and how that came about.
Yeah, Yanni and I, we've been doing plenty of acoustic duo shows in the last 3 years, and then between the shows we've been having some time off, and very often, what else do we do except, composing some stuff. And If the Story is Over, the idea behind the song, I had it already, was it like 3 years ago, but then I presented the idea to Yanni, I think, was it very late last year, or early last spring, I can't remember exactly, but then we just put the ideas together, and a little bit similar stuff with Out of the Fog. The idea to me for the song came when I was just, basically staring at the lake, which is close to the cabin, and then, we were just, then I had this idea that they would be like young soldiers, marching in the fog, and then when the fog clears out, then they would be the enemy, and they, probably most of them would die without, having a clear meaning, why they are in the battle and what's going on. But yeah, then also same thing with Out of the Fog, that Yanni and I, we just put our ideas together, and then I think Matthias also arranged some chords for the chorus of that song. The first demo, that was even more like progressive, maybe a little bit too progressive with all the rhythmic parts. But then Matthias arranged the song in the studio to a little bit simpler version. But yeah, it's been kind of very easy to work, for me to work with Matthias and with Yanni. Very easygoing, talented dude. So I like this kind of a cooperation where I can throw in some ideas, and then somebody else is doing, giving some ideas to me, and then we're throwing the ball, and it works out.
Right. And on a quick side note, before we get back to the album, what's sort of going on with Cain's Offering right now?
I think right now there's nothing going on, because all the guys, who were on the album, they are pretty busy, and of course I'm kind of busy with Stratovarius, so I'm not sure if Yanni is planning to make another album or not, but we'll have to see.
Gotcha. All right, now Jens, you penned a couple of tracks on the album as well. Castles in the Air has sort of that, that spiraling epic feel we love about Stratovarius and power metal in general. Well, Dragons actually feels a little bit like a throwback to your Malmsteen days. What's the story on those two?
It's no specific story. I just made a bunch of things, presented to the guys, and these are the two. Actually, there was 3 tracks, but one ended up as a Japanese bonus.
Gotcha.
I don't know. There's a variety of stuff, and this was probably some of the simpler songs. So it's just a matter of the process that we have. Right. We had something like 2.5 hours of material, and then we pick from that. And I just wrote. I don't even remember when I wrote what on these things. I mean, rearranged things, and then the lyrics were done last minute as usual. But they are, fairly. Dragon is of course the simpler of the 2 songs. I don't think it's so much Malmsteen in there. Actually, the Japanese bonus track is definitely 10 times more Malmsteen.
Yeah, sure.
What's called Kill It With Fire in Australia. And I think that's really where you would get this 80s vibe. But anyway, I mean, I tend to try to limit it to simpler pop sort of songs with this band, because I think it's what the band has been all about, like more understandable stuff. So I'm happy that they even like 2 of the things that I did.
Right, and you got some of that popish stuff on. Laurie wrote the 1 track on the album, and that's it. But it's very addictive, and you did a lot of work on, I think, fantasy, right, Jens? You sort of give us your take on that.
Yeah, that was also one of my early favorites when I heard demos. It's a very catchy song, and I don't know. Of course, we all debate this. I would like to have it as a second single. Some other guys want to have it as a second single. So this is the kind of stuff we still have to work out in a way. But I like it anyway. I think it's a very nice, positive, upbeat kind of song. Happy stuff, which is a little bit what we have been doing in this band. So I thought it was really nice.
Now, Nemesis marks the first album with Rolf. How did his presence and performance impact the tone of the record?
Of course, I mean, whenever you are changing a player in the band, of course, then that changes the sound a bit. And in this case, I believe that Jörg's playing style was more like old school rock drumming, and he was like a show drummer, but more like John Bonham style, compared to Rolf is like modern metal drummer. So, of course, that's affecting a lot. And especially when we are playing live, it's like he's bringing new energy to the band. And he's a very, very talented guy and a very nice dude. So, exactly what we were searching for. So, I think, yeah, he has a huge impact on the album, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I have to imagine trying to fill Jörg's vacancy in the band was something of a melancholy experience. Besides immense skills, obviously, what were you guys looking for when deciding who would be the best fit for the band?
I think a musical ear, in a way, and to be a reasonable guy, because the idea was to make whoever the new drummer would be also a full member like anybody else in the band, with same responsibilities and same rights as anybody else. So of course you don't want a complete asshole, or if you don't even want the slightest bit of an asshole in the band, since he's going to be part of the decision process when it comes to songs and many other things. Of course, he has to be somebody with some talent and some brains. So it was easy though, because he's a good player as well, a really nice guy, really mellow guy.
And also, what is kind of important is that we didn't even want to search for another, Jörg Michael clone, because I mean, Jörg, he's a big character, and his playing style is kind of a unique. So we actually tried to find something else, a little bit different, and I think we succeeded with that.
Nice. So, and now, what's going on in I know you guys are going to be doing a lot of touring in Europe, but do you have any dates set for coming to the States at all?
Not yet, no.
Would be nice, but it looks like it's going to be more and more difficult for foreign bands to tour in the US. It's more expensive, and the working visas cost much more than in the past.
Right.
But let's see. I mean, of course, it's also depending on how the album will do. And it would be very nice to play some shows over here. So hopefully later this year, after summer. At least we don't have any time before summer for sure. We're going to be coming. So we'll see.
Well, we'll have to cross our fingers for that. Once again, Deep Purple was snubbed for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, in light of the fact that John Lord passed. Yeah, exactly.
Fuck the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's complete bullshit.
I know.
Nobody that's serving this spot more than Deep Purple, and I think it's mocking the entire fucking planet if they. I didn't even know about this. Who cares about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? That's bullshit. If what you're saying is true, they should be banned. They should be fucking abolished.
Well, I cannot disagree with you in the least, and I know they're a big inspiration, especially for you, Jens. The late John Lord has to have been a big inspiration.
All I have to say about that is, what the fuck? That's like the stupidest thing I ever heard, and they should just go die from shame with people. Well, that's all until I think of something else to say. That's fucking really bad.
If you would, give us each, just sort of how Deep Purple inspired you guys coming up.
Well, what the fuck? I mean, I think none of the bands I've ever played with on a professional level would have existed without Deep Purple. And I think, I don't know, I mean, what about Stratovarius would never have existed? Would you have started playing drums?
No, I mean, in my case, it's like I started playing drums and then I wanted to be Ian Pace. But then being Ian Pace was a bit too difficult. Then I wanted to sing, and I guess I sort of wanted to be Ian Killen. But I mean, Deep Purple, it's still one of my long-time favorites. And Jens and we just heard the new Deep Purple album, and I have to tell you that it's a killer. It sounds very good. So
we've got good stuff to look forward to this year from them.
Yeah, for sure.
So we need a U.S. tour with Deep Purple and Stratovarius. That would be perfect. So
that'd be awesome, yeah, for sure.
If you can fix that up, then we'll...
Yeah, just fix that for us and we'll be there.
Exactly.
I'll work my magic on that. So before we get out of here, is there a go-to album or artist that each of you turns to, no matter what your mood or frame of mind, that always inspires or motivates you?
I have Deep Purple made in Japan. I never get sick of that album, but the problem for me now is that I've heard it so much that I actually know it by heart. I don't even have to play it anymore. I can just play it in my head. But that's probably one album I will never get sick of myself. And
well, there's so many good old classic albums, so probably today it would be Dio's Holy Diver for me, but there's also Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime, Iron Maiden, like Peace of Mind, and so many good albums.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm sure you guys are worn down from about 9,000 interviews, so I'll let you get out of here. But the new album is fantastic. We can't wait for it to come out.
Thanks a lot, man.